Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a Hump Day edition of Prime Sports World. We're going to be breaking down Debo Samuel's trade request. Two big name wide receivers not in training camp or not in mini camp OTAs right now, and then one quarterback who has said he's not playing for his prospective team unless he gets a brand new contract. I've been David Huffman. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. Thank you very much for joining us. If you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at PSW_David. Prime Sports World, pretty good place to hang out. Go live 5 or 6 days a week. Bring you the most up to date content. Also, want to thank our friends over there for sponsoring here at Prime Sports World. Let your presence be felt. Got the link to their website and our Facebook page, along with the NFL free Facebook page as well. Happy Hump Day, TJ, man. How are you, buddy?
Good, just enjoying a little playoff basketball.
Yeah, man. That Brooklyn Celtics series is going to be a barn burner.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like the officials can't make up their minds on how they want to officiate the series. Like game one, they were overly passive and let both teams be super aggressive, more so Boston and Brooklyn. Now this game, it's like the complete opposite. You can't touch anybody or otherwise it's a foul. There have been KD shooting the free throw right now. There have been a combined, I want to say 45 free throws, maybe more
uh, fully in the
between the
third
two
quarter.
teams. Only in the third quarter, yeah. So
That's
they and there's two more coming.
Well, we'll see how that game plays out. We're going to be doing the crossover at some point this week before I go to this wedding. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. Uh, but yeah, let's get into the NFL content. We're going to plan on doing the crossover today. But then, of course, the NFL refuses to not have breaking news on a daily basis. So we had to switch our focus a little bit back over to the National Football League. Talk about Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel has importantly requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. This is according to a report from ESPN. I think it's Jeff Darling. Um, I think that's the guy. The trade
hmm
request comes after a breakout 2021 season for Samuel, during which he coined the phrase the wide back. In 2021, Samuel became the third player in the history of the National Football League to score 1,000 receiving yards, 5 touchdown receptions, 5 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. Samuel is currently entering the final year of his rookie deal. He has not decided to. He's declined to say the specific reason why he's requested the trade. Dude, what do you make of Debo Samuel's trade request? What do you make of what do you think is going to end up happening in this situation? Do you think he eventually gets traded away from San Francisco? That'd be crazy to trade him, right?
uh, I don't know. This usually only happens when players are in his situation where they want a new deal and teams are like reluctant to give that player said new deal. Um, it's not even it's not even a receiver's fault for wanting more money. When you get a player like Christian Kirk who got what he got and doesn't even do a third of the production that a Debo Samuel does or a AJ Brown does or a Terry McLaurin does,
Yeah, we'll get to
what
those
do you
guys.
what do you expect? What do you expect? Like those teams what do you expect to happen? Honestly, like you. So I got a notification earlier. I'm trying to find it that Debo Samuel doesn't want to do that double um that double role anymore. That's quite a toll.
Yeah,
Like
I
he
mean,
like
you're putting it. I mean, the running back is like being a run. Why do you think running backs don't get paid in the National Football League? Because their bodies get destroyed. Like, you think you want to do that for your entire career? No, nobody wants to do that for their entire career.
and so it's almost like you like if I can I'm really trying to find because like the wording wasn't weird, but it was so like the whole I'm trying to say like trying to find like the last part says Samuel has declined to say the specific reason
All right,
why
so
he's requesting
so
the
he
trade.
okay. So yeah, Jeff Darlington was the guy who was the trade. So apparently, so it sounds like there are multiple layers. This is on Rick Eisen's show. from
Okay. And
Tom Costello.
Rich Eisen is a very reliable.
It sounds like there's multiple layers to this. Certainly, one of them is Debo Samuel wants to be a receiver and not a receiver running back. His rushing tests were significantly up from the last season they were in the past. His value, the reason to counterpoint that is part of the reason that he's so valuable, he's so versatile. He does not want to be the double threat wide receiver running back. That's the report coming out of NFL.com. That NFL.
And and can you really blame, especially in that offense, because that's a physical offense, and you can't. If I'm and if I'm a
I
49er
mean,
fan, I look
it's a very physical. It's such a physical offense. 5 of their top running backs last season had some
got
sort of
hurt,
injury where they missed time. Elijah Mitchell,
and
Ricky Mostert, the kid from Ohio State. Um, I'm forgetting someone's name, but like the 5 running backs got injured where they missed time during this.
and if I'm the Debo, yeah, I'm not trying to do that. At least because it took its toll last season. Like last season was the outlier, right? Last season was the exception. I'm doing this. I'm helping you out. We're in a pinch. Like you're tired of calling practice squad guys up, which I get it. You put me in this role. Basically, I feel like on a whim, and you found something, right? You found something, and then it was just another way of getting the ball in my one of my best offensive weapons' hands. What 49er fans should, why they shouldn't be mad at Debo, or football fans in general, why they shouldn't be mad at Debo, is George Kittle's been pretty beat up the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, yeah,
George Kittle got paid.
did get paid.
So if you want to use the whole he's injured excuse, that's thrown out the window because his teammate got paid
I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was coming off like an ACL tear, and they still paid him.
and got paid.
Yeah, like it's so
So
much to the point where they can't trade him. Like they want to trade him away, but they can't. Like they can't find anywhere to send him. Like they're just stuck with him.
like this whole like I hate the people who, and I get it, hate is a strong word, but these teams always find a way to like not pay players. It's always a salary cap issue when it's this player, not this player. It's always we don't want to be cap strong when it's this player, not this player. Right? You don't go to the NFC Championship without 19.
No, I mean you don't even make the playoffs without him.
You
Let's be for
probably don't
real.
make the
Like,
playoffs without him.
they don't sniff a playoff. They're the worst team in the NFL. Without him. That I mean they have their secondary is kind of trash. I mean outside of their front seven's kind of fine, but their offensive line outside of Trent Williams is all that good. Like they're not a playoff team without this guy, and like the fact that they
And
want to.
that's and then think about what you just said, like their front seven. You're gonna have to pay Nick Bosa if you
Yeah,
haven't already.
they're also not close on their negotiations when it comes to his contract either, from the latest reports. So
So I guarantee you they're gonna like. And again, you look at how certain teams are ran in the front office, right? We don't expect the Rams to have any kind of money. They find a way to pay literally everybody. They're still paying Jared Goff, and they were able to find a way to sign Matthew Stafford to an extension.
Allen Robinson got they were able to find money for Allen Robinson. Like
They
if
found
you
money
want
for Allen Robinson.
if you want to find the money, you can find it. The San Francisco 49ers don't want to find the
The,
money because I bet
the,
let me tell you what, if Jimmy Garoppolo was no longer on this team, that there would be an extension for
but
Debo
it
Samuel.
shouldn't be like that. Shouldn't be the case, right? Like it
True,
shouldn't be
true.
because it shouldn't be because Jimmy Garoppolo's on the team, we can't pay you. The Cleveland Browns literally just gave a guy $230 million and found a way to sign their star corner another 100 mil. That's like you can't sit here and tell me that the 49ers don't have the cap. So as far as teams who can trade for him, it has to be some kind of sign and trade situation because otherwise, why are we talking?
Yeah, I mean he's not being traded on his current contract. Wherever he ends up going, he's going to have to sign him to some sort of max deal. I mean, I think the question is how valuable do you think he is? I don't know if he's Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams deal, but his deal should somewhere mirror Stephon Diggs, maybe or a little bit less than Stephon Diggs, because I mean let's be completely honest about Debo Samuel. Outside of last season, 2020 he missed a lot of time because he was injured. 2019, he missed some time because he was injured. He had a breakout season in 2021. As you always say, if you do it again,
Do it again.
do it again. So how much money
And
would you really be willing to, like, I think that's also the reserve of the San Francisco 49ers. Like, yeah, you had this one really great season. When we look at the rest of your collective bodies of work, I mean, you had more receiving yards in this one season than you did the last two combined.
but if I'm Debo Samuel, I look at that like, all right, but now you know what I can do. You know what I can do when I'm not banged up and when I'm not beat to hell. The 49ers as an organization
And,
have been
and, and he
better.
was injured.
The
He was
entire
injured during
team.
this season. Even like I know I think he only missed one game this season, but he was still someone who was banged up this season. Like he didn't end this. Like he basically managed his way through an injury at the end.
He did.
Yeah.
And so I don't like it. Whoever does get them, they are. It's not like you already know what you're getting. Like you're just hoping he stays healthy. You're just hoping he plays the full 17, which is, in my opinion, why it's so dumb. Why they added a game instead of like taking two away, which is just what you expect to happen, right?
Well, money talks,
honestly,
my friend. I mean, if the NFL players want to continue getting record deals, that's what happens, man.
but like teams can't complain about money. Like teams can't complain about players wanting more money because the
Yeah,
demand has gone up.
I 100% agree with you, but this is the way it is right now. Let's talk about potential destinations. I know Kristen Simpson mentioned in the chat the Baltimore Ravens and the New Orleans Saints. I'm just going to remove the New Orleans Saints from this entire equation. I just don't think they have the cap space. They have the assets to make a trade, but they don't have the cap space to sign him after they trade for him. And they're not going to.
Well,
And I also don't think San Francisco will trade him to someone else in the NFC. Like this would mean I think the Packers are out of the conversation. Like I can't imagine the Green Bay Packers, the 49ers and the Green Bay Packers are going to trade with each other after how heated their playoff game was and how much hate there is there. There's no way they're like, oh, yeah, let's give you Deep Samuel, Green Bay. Like, here you go. Enjoy.
and Green Bay also doesn't have the cap, so it is that's nothing. Bears fans, get it out your head. He's not coming here.
No, I mean, he wants to go somewhere he can win. But no offense to Bear fans and the Bear alone. We're not winning a lot. Like, it's going to be a
And
rebuild.
and he's not coming here, and that's what Bears fans have to realize right now. We're in a rebuild, right? We're in a rebuild. We're not going to get a player who is going to somehow, some way deter that, right?
Yeah,
Like we
like we're not
can
also not going to pay a wide receiver who's not really fit into the time. Like we're not like it's not going
also
to work. I
when you
think
don't.
Baltimore makes a whole lot of sense. I think you trade him to Baltimore, he becomes the number one wide receiver there. You give a first round pick. You have to give up Hollywood Brown or the Dever Duvernay to get that done. I would do that,
Also,
especially Duvernay. I mean Duvernay and a first round pick done. I don't even
also
think
Bears fans.
I hang up the phone. That's a done deal. I feel like I got a King's France there.
Also, Bears fans, we don't have the cap this year to make this deal. Like
True.
y'all so quick. Y'all so quick. All right, we can just throw them some draft picks. No, you idiots.
We also don't have
If
a first round pick, and it's going to take at least a first round pick.
like exactly. Like, I'm like San Francisco is not gonna take a phone call from the Bears with a second and a third and whatever player we throw in there. They're gonna John Lynch is gonna laugh at Ryan Poles and tell him, "Hey, I can tell you're new at this job."
I totally, I totally
Um,
agree with you. I think, but Baltimore makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you don't have to give up Hollywood Brown, I mean, Devin Duvernay, maybe Gus Edwards as another backup running back and then a first round pick. I would probably would do that if I was on both sides of that equation.
and
Give him one
San
of your, give him a
Francisco's
corner. I mean, if we want to give him not maybe Marcus Peters and a first round pick.
and San Francisco maybe depending if they just get a deal because the Jets believe they're going to want to. The Jets believe they want a king's ransom, which tells me that the Jets were on the phone with San Fran, inquiring about what it would take to give up Debo Samuel. And the Jets not only do they have not only do they have some kind of personnel to get include in the trade, they have the draft capital
And Robert Sala has a personal relationship
with Debo Samuel.
with Debo Samuel. He played there for 2 seasons with Robert Sala. That I mean that makes a lot of
So
sense too. And not to mention the Jets were in the Tyreek Hill sweepstakes. They're obviously looking to upgrade that position. They have the draft capital to get that done.
so like so that tells me like obviously San Fran if it's gonna take a lot for them to trade in conference, not in division, in conference. Nobody, because I don't think anybody in their division can afford to give up anybody, and no, San Fran's not going to make that deal anyway.
No,
Um,
they're not trading within the conference. I would be shocked because this is a San Francisco team that still has Super Bowl aspirations, regardless of the quarterbacks.
so again, unless the only way they trade in conference to me, again, like the deal has to be astronomical, like more than the
Crazy.
Kings ransom, more than what they are asking for. AFC, so like that literally cuts your options in half,
Yeah,
right?
I agree with you
That
on that.
cuts your options in half.
But Debo Samuel for sure deserves more money. We'll see what ends up following. If a trade does happen, we will follow it absolutely. Moving on to not alone. So this story kind of started on Monday or Tuesday with three marquee wide receivers not appearing in optional workouts. Debo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and AJ Brown. And now Debo Samuel is requested a trade. Both of these players were second round picks entering the final year of their deal. Neither player is expected to join their offseason programs. They have to watch the landscape of the NFL over this offseason. Many other wide receivers have cashed out in record fashion this offseason, and they're just sitting there like, hey, we're better than a Christian Kirk. Hey, we're better than a Zay Jones who
We are
got paid.
way better than Christian Kirk.
Yeah, we're better than those guys, and we deserve to get paid. It should be mentioned that a lot of players skip the voluntary because they're typically optional. So take a little bit of this sitting out of this optional stuff with a tad bit of grain of salt because
Yeah.
sure they're making a statement, but it's optional for a reason. So what's your gauge on what do you think is going to happen? Two guys.
Well,
Do you think it ends up in a Debo Samuel situation where either of them request a trade at this point, or do you even think they have the leverage to do that?
I don't think it's gotten to that level yet for these two. I think they're both happy in their situations. AJ Brown being the guy in Tennessee, Terry McLaurin being the guy in Washington. Um, you haven't really heard ramblings in those two areas like you have in San Francisco, and maybe that's why. Maybe Debo's just overshadows these other two, but I don't think it's gonna get to that point with these two.
I
Like
honestly think I think they're just forcing they're just seeing what they can push their team, give them a deal. I expect both of these guys when it comes to
like
when it comes to like when minicamp rolls. I expect both of these guys. As Torrey Smith posted on the Twitter yesterday, the day before yesterday, um, voluntary offseason workouts for the fans that get all upset. 9 out of 10 times, your favorite superstar player wasn't there this time of year either. So get all upset the fact that two wide receivers are not there for voluntary workouts. The keyword there, voluntary. They're voluntary. You don't have to show up if you don't want to. So,
no, you don't. And
and I think
if
AJ
I'm
Brown,
any,
the extension for AJ Brown is a matter of not like they're gonna for sure give him whatever he wants when the time.
I think out of these three, though, like in terms of what he's had to put up with, no one deserves that money more. No one deserves that money more than Terry McLaurin.
I agree with you with the revolving door that's been the quarterback situation.
Like when you, and it's not just that. Like when you consider, like bro, like the feds raided the building. The feds, the FBI, the FBI raided the Washington football team headquarters. Right? Like there is a lot going on in Washington that we just know the bare minimum of. We don't actually like we don't even like we just know that the feds were there. We know that Dan Snyder kept revenue from all the other owners. Like bro, like that's you can't do that. Like change is gonna come in Washington pretty soon. I don't know when,
I
but
I,
it's coming.
I would unless they find something of super egregious in one of those reports. I mean, but that I mean,
Well,
this FBI, like the federal government, like is the reason that John Gruden's out of the job. Like they're like scoping of the Washington football team is the reason that he no longer has a job. They're for sure doing something here that's not kosher.
well, you also got to keep Dan Snyder was stealing. He's stealing revenue from the other owners, from
Yeah,
the revenue that like the ticket revenue that the teams make. They share that with the other 31 owners of the NFL. He kept his. He pocketed his for his own. You can't do that. You're stealing from the league. You can't you
I
can't do
still think
that.
they'll have a hard time throwing him. I mean, he's had scandal after scandal, and he survived. I think he'll find a way to weasel his way back, weasel his way to still
Well,
owning that. Unless he says something racist, you know.
you can't well they I don't know.
Saying.
Like I think Terry McLaurin, like yeah, he deserves he deserves it.
And not, I mean,
Absolutely.
outside of that situation, I mean, the revolving door that's been the quarterback situation of the Washington football team, the Washington Commanders, as they want to be called now. I mean, how many different quarters has he had throwing in passes in the last 3 seasons? I mean, Alex Smith, he had Brandon Allen for like 1 minute before he broke his leg. I don't know. It's been a carousel of starting quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick for literally a minute, and then he had like I mean he's had multiple guys throwing him touchdowns, throwing him passes, and he's basically put up monster numbers with a lackluster supporting cast, like no offensive line, a so running game. No defense to Gibson, good player. Before that, there wasn't really anybody there. Both of these guys deserve to get paid in a big way. Do I think that either of them are going to request a trade? I think AJ Brown and Jerry McLaurin, when it's all said and done, they will be suiting up for their team before the season starts. I cannot say the same thing, but I think his story trade request is not a bluff. I think he wants to be out of there.
Well, obviously, like his is the more hostile of the three, right? His is like Debo Samuel. I'm talking about like he's the one that's making the most headlines. Obviously, he literally just requested the trade today. These the other two, like they just want their money. And rightly so. Again, when you see a guy like Christian Kirk get the deal that he got, and like they don't even care. I mean, they do, but they don't. Like they don't care that Tyreek Hill got his money. Stephon Diggs got his money. Devontae Adams got his money. And who am I? Like, no, I said them all right. That's like that was the big three: Hill,
Yeah, yeah,
Adams, and like they don't care that those three got their money. They're worth the price of admission. They're worth every penny that the teams that paid them gave them. Christian Kirk, however, it's like that's what those other three guys are doing. They not looking at the other three. They not looking at Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams. They ain't looking at them. They looking at that dude and it's like, really? I'm not worth more than him?
yeah. Oh.
Really? Like it's the same thing with Devontae Adams, right? That he saw the deal that Christian Kirk got and Green Bay was still gonna tag him.
Yep.
And he's like, really? You
Yeah.
like I'm not worth more than Christian Kirk.
Yeah. I think the other thing is like these guys are all like the hard part about this is like people always talk about this kind of stuff. It's like these guys, it's not like they're free agents. Like they're under contract, and so the teams aren't all automatically obligated to give you a new deal just because you have overachieved your current deal. Like, and so I think there's a because the fans are like, hey, you signed a contract, play it out. They're gonna get your money when the contract's up. But because you've overplayed your contract, does that mean you automatically deserve a new deal? I'm not so sure about that.
And
It's also a fine line there. Like it's a real fine line. Like either some of the players, you can only if some players it's fine, but other players it's not so fine. It's a slippery slope, kind of like either you're going to allow this all the time or never.
and fans gotta get out of this notion of sticking up for the organization. The organization doesn't. The organization is
The player cares more about you than the organization. Shit about
right.
you.
Organizations have proven time and time again that they don't have to honor contracts.
Yeah, I mean
Fans kill
they can cut players like that without having
fans like
even
fans
thinking about
kill
it twice.
me. Fans kill me. They annoy me. You signed the contract, honor the contract. Okay, I signed the same contract. That team can cut me tomorrow if they want to.
Yeah, yeah. It works both
So
ways. We'll see what happens. I think both.
why
I
should
think these two guys on the screen right now will be on their team. I think Debo Samuel will play in 2022. Moving on to the final story of the day, we got somebody else who wants a brand new deal. It's Kyler Murray. He's not expected to play for the Arizona Cardinals without a new deal. The Cardinals have yet to even offer a contract over to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's got to be sitting there watching Rodgers, Carr, Watson, Stafford get paid this offseason, leaving Kyler Murray to want a big payday as well. The Cardinals are insisting that they don't plan to trade Kyler Murray. What ends up being the end situation here? Apparently, the Cardinals have not even offered it yet.
So you said he's watching who he's watching who?
Rodgers, Carr, Watson, Stafford all get big extensions.
Okay, I'm just gonna address those one by one. Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl MVP, 4-time MVP,
Yep.
3. Next, Stafford, just literally just won a Super Bowl.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
First ballot Hall of Fame. Derek Carr.
Won a Super Bowl.
Right. Derek Carr. Wins AFC Offensive Player of the Year if he doesn't break his leg.
Okay.
He literally lost an award because he got hurt.
Yeah.
And who else did you like? That's it. No, and Deshaun Watson. No comment. Not going there. You're not. Even with right, no comment. Like, even with all that's going on with Deshaun Watson, even if he doesn't go through all of that, he's leaps and bounds better than you, Kyler Murray. Sorry.
So I think the reservation for the Arizona Cardinals has to be like his play down at the first 7 games or the first 8 games I think of the season last year, he was like playing like an MVP candidate, and then his play presumably got worse because he got hurt. He's proved that
seems to be a theme.
Yeah, so he proved that he seems to get hurt a lot. You can't really rely on him, and then he wasn't good at all in that playoff game, like literally atrocious. And that was his only playoff game he's ever had. And yeah, he wasn't really particularly good down the stretch last season. His body language at times is really bad. He doesn't seem to be the best leader because he just does stuff that's kind of immature. And I mean that whole Cliff Kingsbury kind of too. Like they're growing up together through this process, but I think if you're the Cardinals, I mean, I'm like, I don't know if I want to give him like Deshaun Watson, like Aaron Rodgers type money. Like, just off the field stuff aside, Deshaun Watson, when he was healthy and leading they went to the playoffs like every season. Like they didn't go anywhere. I mean, they did win one wild card game, but otherwise.
And Deshaun Watson's also a guy who lost an award because he was hurt. Deshaun Watson was going to be Rookie of the Year. He tears his ACL.
Yeah.
God damn, they is just mauling my man. Anyway, Kyler Murray has definitely proven that he can be way immature. He scrubbed his IG of all the Cardinal stuff. Then he made up some lame excuse as to why he did it. It's like, dude, come on, like don't play semantics with us. We're not dumb.
Yeah, it's just childish stuff. Like it's just like you're not gonna get away with that.
If I'm the Cardinals, I'm looking at it from both ways. I've given you everything.
Yeah,
giving you everything.
He gave you Deshaun Watson. That wasn't enough to get over the hump. I mean, this offseason, he gave him one of the best offenses in the league, and still wasn't enough to get over the hump.
I've given you everything. I gave
James
you
Conner, was great.
I traded for Zach Ertz. I got J.J. Watt in the offseason for my defense. I am and when we needed you to perform, like DeAndre Hopkins aside, like we already know, like he was banged up, he wasn't there. But that does not negate the fact that we needed you to be spectacular, and you folded very quickly. You folded.
Yeah, I mean they weren't competitive at all. They threw one of the worst playoff picks I've ever seen in my life.
So I'm looking at it from one or two. I'm looking at it from the Cardinals standpoint. All right, yeah, we took you first overall. So like you've gotten better since you've been here, right? But you've also limped out of every season since we brought you in.
Yep.
Like you start off great, you start off great, you take a bunch of hits. We already know you don't like to get hit, and then at some point you get banged up. It's a knee, it's a hip, it's a shoulder. Quite vital pieces of a quarterback's body. You can't see over offensive lines because so now you have to roll out of the pocket. You got to roll out of the pocket to make your own passing lanes so you can see. Defenses are getting faster, not
And by
slower.
the end of the season, the guy can't move by the end of the year. So
And like Russell Wilson's great. But Russell Wilson was a third round draft pick for a reason.
yeah, I
Because
mean
he's
he's
5'11".
undersized. He's undersized.
If Russell Wilson's 6'3", he's a first round quarterback. Plain and simple. So I'm looking at it from that's the Cardinal standpoint, right? Like you're small, you've been hurt, yeah, you've gotten better, but you finish significantly weaker than you start. Kyler Murray's camp, right? You picked me first overall for a reason, which means without me, you were drafting number one overall for a reason. Now, don't get me started on why they were in that situation. The head coach quarterback combination, they didn't give him a chance in hell. They fired him after that one season. And it's what did you expect? Steve Wilkes, Josh Rosen, and Josh Rosen didn't even start. They went with Sam Bradford first.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not to mention, I mean, the veterans who've left. Patrick Peterson's no longer a part of this team. Chase Edmonds is gone. James Conner's gone after one season. Like, it's a. I think Christian Kirk is no longer part of this team. Like, obviously he got way overpaid, but like, I think it could be a culture issue in Arizona as well. Like the fact that they can't, they fire a coach after one season. They never really give a Josh Rosen shot. Before they draft another quarterback. And I honestly think he might get traded for them.
To who? And to where? Who wants him?
So so the teams that came up during the Deshaun Watson six makes sense here. Atlanta, Carolina, the teams that have the draft capital to kind of make him. They also have a semi quarterback that they can send back. The Giants make a whole lot of sense. They missed out on. They're not totally sold on Daniel Jones, and they haven't really worked out any other quarterbacks. Steelers make some sense.
Again, I'm not. I get he's talented, but I'm not. I don't want a quarterback that's 5'9" and beat the hell by week 8 of the season.
I'm just gonna go on a limb. I think Kyler Murray might get traded before the draft. You heard? I think that's gonna happen. Like the teams that are like in the league, like the teams that are in like the Malik Willis conversation, right? So would you rather have a wild card in Willis who you don't really know what you're gonna get, or somebody who's proven who can at least play? I think I'd rather have Kyler Murray.
Oh, don't make me choose that.
I'm just saying, man. Like all of these teams that need a quarterback. I mean, the Saints of the world, the Falcons of the world, the Steelers of the world, the Carolina Panthers of the world, who don't have a quarterback that they are going to be rolling out here with any sort of confidence next year. New York Giants,
Well,
they don't know what they're going to do in a quarterback. Like,
again, if I get
Seattle
Kyler Murray,
Seahawks. I honestly don't think
I
he's
take
going
a
to
shot,
Seattle.
if I take a shot on Kyler Murray, are you going to be able to play a whole 17 now?
We don't know if any of these rookies are going to be able to play a whole 17 because they haven't played a whole 17 either.
At least they have the body to withhold, to take the punishment.
That's true. I mean, but Kyle Murray's been proven. He's been a Pro Bowler. He proved at least played in the National Football League. So I can see a scenario where he gets some team is like, hey, we'll give you 2 first-round picks and we'll give you some decent starting quarterback that you can do whatever with. Like if the Giants were like, hey, we'll give you one of our first-round picks this year. We'll give you one of our first-round picks next year. We'll give you Daniel Jones. So I think that would be I think that would be enough. I think this is Kyler Murray's been a colossal headache. I think the Arizona Cardinals wouldn't even mind rubbing their hands.
Like, so he's played all 16 games twice, and then last year he played only 14, so he missed 3 games. 0-1 in the
Yeah, but he was
playoffs,
beat
like you
to
said.
shit at both the last 3 seasons. Like the 2
Yeah,
seasons
he
that
was
he played every game, he was for sure injured most of it, or a lot
for
of it.
sure, for sure.
So
But
that's all I'm
again,
saying.
fans,
I think Kyler Murray. I think he's still a good quarterback in the
dagger.
National Football League. I'm not
That's
sure
game.
he's worth like crazy extension money, but I think he's going to get traded before the draft. I think a team's going to step up and be like, hey, let's get somebody who we at least know can play the game without instead of grabbing a quarterback, especially in this quarterback class. If this was a stronger, if this was next year's quarterback class, you got Bryce Young, you got C.J. Stroud. I'm not sure I'd pull the trigger on something like that. But now that this draft class is quarterback class is as weak as it is, the fact that I can get somebody who's established and good already, sure, I'm gonna have to pay him, but I'm gonna roll the dice with him, as opposed to taking a flyer on Malik Willis, who might not even who's never even played in a really pro offense,
These
who wasn't even good towards the back end.
these 4 dudes, Kyler, Debo, AJ, McLaurin, it's you got two. I ain't gonna call them docile and Terry McLaurin and AJ Brown, but they're not ruffling any feathers the way these 2 dudes are. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's like the next step for Kyler Murray and his camp. I want to say I think his dad is also in the picture. Like his dad's very vocal for him and express
They're
like
usually whenever family members of famous people get involved, they usually well.
no, it works on some occasions.
I remember that
You
Reggie
know,
Rose stuff. Much of a disaster that was.
that was that wasn't even Derek's brother. That wasn't even
It was
Derek's
like his
dad. That was his
uncle.
brother. That was his brother. Yeah, that was his brother. But it also depends on the type of like the person. Like Derek Rose is a quiet person.
Yeah.
Like every quiet person, quote unquote, needs that mouthpiece, right? Kyler Murray is threatening to play baseball. So
Yeah.
if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I'm like, all right, go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's gonna get traded before the trade.
Please,
We'll see.
please
We'll see.
do that.
But yeah, Kevin. By the way, Kevin Durant is not shooting the basketball at all. Good.
He is not. He's not. He's missed all 10 of his shots in the second half. He's turned the ball over a bunch.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
got 6 turnovers. Like,
it's like the
uh,
leprechaun from it's like the leprechaun of old from the old Boston days is sneaking around
yeah. But
the
yeah, we'll be back
loop.
with the episode of the crossover tomorrow, breaking down some NBA stuff. You don't want to miss that content. But yeah, this is breaking down some holdout stuff, some stuff going on, latest in the NFL. We're gonna be doing some more draft stuff next week, so you don't want to miss that content as well. I've been David Huppin. Right there is GJ Hopkins. GJ, what we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We pay attention to the NFL because this is man this here.
Yeah, dude. Like every day, there seems to be breaking news in the National Football League. Like we could have
there have
covered this
been
Kyler Murray stuff like 3 days ago. Like
there have been no days off with
no.
this.
Adam Schefter's been a busy man. So I'll see you later, man. You have a good night, buddy.
And what's crazy is, hold on, like before we go, like when we did a whole special on like who's next, right? Who's the next receiver to get paid or whatever? None of the 3 guys that we talked about were on that list.
Yeah. So also when we talk about who's going to the next superstar to get traded, none of these, either Kyler Murray. I think I might have had Kyler Murray on that list actually, but I don't really remember because it was so long ago. But we'll be back here tomorrow. I'll see you guys all later. You have a good day, buddy.
See you, man.
Peace out.